Case Alatoforsen, who is also the minority leader in Parliament, hopeful of the court ordering a discontinuation of the case against him. Third accused, Richard Jakpa, who has stirred controversy in recent weeks, also was hopeful of injuncting the entire prosecution. But this afternoon, the court has been very busy dealing with the little yet significant issues raised by the parties. First, the mistrial application has been dismissed by the court. Richard Jakpa's application for injunction was also dismissed by the court. And the Attorney General has been advised to recuse himself from the case following a release of an audio tape in which he is heard coaching the third accused and artificially directing the course of the case. So much has been happening in court today, and we'll take our time to unpack them for you. First, my colleague Latif Idris was, in a courtroom where everything unfolded, and he joins me here in studio. Latif, first, let's talk about the mood. I mean, this is a political issue, so you expect to have political, representatives backing it. So let's start from the mood before we get to the substance of the matters.
Yeah, so the mood, just like the last time we were in court on this same case, the court packed to the brim. You have bigwigs from the opposition NDC, bigwigs within the governing party MPP showing up in court, members of parliament showing up in court, notable lawyers in Ghana showing up in court. Nana B was in court today.
The national organizer of the MPP.
Of the governing MPP. So various interests, involved, all of them showed up in court today. Attentively listened to the ruling. It was a 40-page ruling. And the judge said she didn't have enough time to draft this ruling. And that took her 40 pages. 40 pages. It tells you that if she wanted to go on and on, it would have been, we'll be looking at maybe 100 or 100 and over. So it was tensed because the matter, whether the matter goes in the favor of the accused persons or in favor of the Attorney General, largely hinged on today's ruling by the sitting judge.
Of course, whether or not the substantive case will continue to be heard by the court.
It hinged. Yes. It was on the line today.
Exactly.
And so it was tensed, anxious mood.
Right from the start.
Right from the start, because that was what there was today, just to come and deliver the ruling.
And then set the tone for the future of the case.
Exactly.
Right. So before the judge had made it clear that he was not going to allow oral submission, he was satisfied with the written submissions.
Yeah, that was last week when she made that pronouncement that, okay, I have 4 applications before me. There was an objection. I think I have enough to make a ruling on the application. So I wouldn't allow any oral arguments to precede my ruling today. And that was exactly what happened.
All right, so let's first understand the applications that were before the court.
Okay, so the applications were, one, that the first accused, that is the minority leader of Parliament, he wanted the court to declare mistrial in the sense that the case should not continue. That was his application. Then he filed another application to support Richard Jakpa's application. That sought to say that the case should also end. The allegations or the accusations leveled against Richard Jakpa should be struck out and alternatively be stayed, and then he be cross-examined based on the tape they sought to tender into evidence. In all, there were 4 of them.
Including affidavit in opposition by the Attorney General.
Exactly. So those were the 4 applications before the judge, and she delivered the ruling on each and every one of them in detail, referencing both local and international precedents to back the decision she made today.
So let's take them one after the other. So the first issue was about an application for a mistrial.
Yeah.
Tell me the decision of the court.
So I just want to quote what the judge said here, and it's very short. He said, I shall decline the invitation to declare a mistrial.
Did she provide reason for this decision that she's taken?
So a quick one, this tape, this Jakpa tape, came out some 2 weeks ago.
Almost.
Yeah, two weeks, let's say about 2 weeks ago. This case, the substantive case, we all know, has gone on for the past 2 years. Been in court, filing, arguing, here and there. The position of the judge delivering this ruling is that how can an evidence which has just surfaced 2 weeks ago come to derail all the hard work that has been done by counsel for the first accused, counsel for the second accused, the attorney general, and then counsel for the third accused? How possible, in the sense of the judge, should a 2-week-old audio recording come to derail time, the process, resources, everything that has been dedicated to this trial for the past 2 years? To her, she finds it unacceptable to declare mistrial. Also referencing the fact that in Ghana, the term mistrial is even alien in Ghana's jurisdiction. She couldn't find any law in her ruling. She couldn't find any law to back the call by Dr. Case Lato-Forson for a mistrial in this case.
Therefore, that application was misplaced.
Yeah, so she dismissed. You know, we can go on giving the reasons why she declared it dismissed, why she dismissed the application for mistrial. But like I said, it was a 40-page ruling, and we could not grasp all the quoting she made from Canada and the United States. But the bottom line is that this audio recording is just 2 weeks old, and there is no way a 2-week-old audio would derail a 2-year investigation and the trial that has gone on since then. And then
the other issues also had to do with the conduct of the Attorney General in all of this, to the extent that an application was seeking the leave of the court to make pronouncement on the conduct of the Attorney General, and the fact that the claim is that he was involved in witness tampering, if you like. Yeah. What was the decision of the court?
So the judge said she has listened to the audio recording 10 times since they tendered it in, 10 times. And in nowhere in the audio recording, according to the judge, did she hear the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Damin, say to Richard Jakpa that I want you to say X, Y, Z to implicate Case Lato-Forson, and that you are not my focus. It is Dr. Case Lato-Forson who is the focus. So say X, Y, Z to implicate him. The judge said, after listening to the tape for 10 times, there was nowhere in the audio recording that points to the assertions made by Richard Jakpa that the Attorney General sought to manufacture or interfere with the evidence before the court. Now, she said, Richard Jakpa said in the audio that he was going through ordeal. According to the judge, those words were never uttered by Godfred Yeboah-Damin. It was Richard Jakpa who made those declarations. Again, Godfred Yeboah-Damin, the only thing he said, according to the judge after listening to the tape, is that I am not asking you to help me. The only problem the sitting judge had with the conversation in her ruling is where the Attorney General is allegedly heard advising Richard Jakpa to go to a hospital and secure a medical excuse document to present to the court to delay the proceedings so that he could travel, return, and still meet Jakpa in the witness box. That the judge found a bit problematic. And so she advised the Attorney General that if he would take her advice, he should step away or recuse himself.
She didn't direct. She didn't order. She only advised.
It wasn't
subject to the rejection or acceptance by the Attorney General.
Correct. it was an advice. It wasn't an order or a directive. It was an advice. And in the proceedings, even after the advice, giving us a clue as to whether or not Godfred Yeboah-Dame would take the advice or
reject
otherwise, he went on doing the case.
After
advice,
dealing with these applications.
Yeah, he went on doing the case.
Suggesting that he's yet to consider the advice by the judge.
Yeah. He went on and did the case, asked questions, wanted clarity, wanted direction, objected to, some of the things that later came up, when Richard Jakpa was put in the witness box. I'm sure we'll come back to that later on. So we do not know whether or not the Attorney General would continue to do the case, or he will take the advice of the judge and then recuse himself. That is his discretion. He has that decision to make. But
then also there's a matter where the judge says that in terms of the alleged misconduct of the Attorney General, it's not a matter that the court can pronounce a decision on. That can best be taken by the General Legal Counsel.
Exactly. So that's what she said. She said it is not within her jurisdiction to make a pronouncement or a ruling on that. And so the only institution that is clothed with the powers to deal with the matter is the General Legal Counsel. So as to whether or not Mr. Jakpa would take this up with his lawyers, or the NDC would want to do that and go to the General Legal Counsel, which they've already given us indication
that
of doing.
That they will take it up.
That they will go to Shraj, they will go to the General Legal, they will trigger everything that is readily available and legally allowed for them to do. So they've already given us that indication that they will leave no stone unturned to make sure that Godfred Yeboah-Dame does not remain in the seat as the Attorney General of this country.
No, the tape in question, the recording, that formed the basis of these applications that eventually almost all of them rejected, if you like, by the court. So my understanding is that it was tendered in as evidence and accepted by the court.
Yeah. So you find. Well, let me be careful in my words. So let's just discuss what happened. So the judge in her ruling says that I have listened to the audio 10 times. And I didn't find any incriminating phrases, comments from the Attorney General, apart from the medical excuse duty form that she made. But then she also says that I have admitted the audio into evidence. And so that is about it.
So therefore, as far as the substantive matter is concerned, is it your understanding that the audio recording may be part of the evidence the judge will consider in arriving at the decision on the case of willful causing financial loss to the state against the minority leader?
Well, so she also talked about weight, the weight she would put on the audio evidence. Okay. So the weight, we don't know whether she's going to put 10 pounds or 1 pound on it. We don't know. But in her ruling, she mentioned weight, whether the weight will be strong enough to make the case for Case Latoforsen and Jakpa, or it will be too weak so that the Attorney General will have his way. We do not know the weight she's going to put on the weight. But considering the fact that she said she's listened to it 10 times and didn't find anything to incriminate the Attorney General, and the fact that the only thing she found problematic was the medical excuse duty, and that she doesn't have the jurisdiction.
And that the General Legal Counsel should look into this matter.
So you want to...
So Latif, I'm interested in the reaction from both sides after the court cleared these applications.
Yeah, so I spoke with Attorney General, and the first question I asked him was, you've been advised by the court or by the sitting judge to recuse yourself from the ongoing trial.
Yes.
What do you make of it?
What was his reaction?
His reaction was exactly what we saw in court. He said, well, you saw me. Even after the advice, what happened in court?
I went ahead
to work, to do the case. So then he referenced what he told us. And I don't know if that tape is ready that we could listen to, but he was singing.
We don't have it yet, but we're working on it. We'll bring it to our viewers before we end the show today, it's very important that we hear from the Attorney General after the court ruling. The court advised that he should recuse himself from the case and what he intends doing. And you are telling us that even after that advice, he went ahead to cross-examine Richard Jakpa. Not
cross-examine yet. So for now, I'm sure we'll come to Richard Jakpa being in the box. So he made the point that you saw me even after the advice by the judge, I still went ahead to do the case, given the inclination that he will humbly or respectfully turn down the advice. He didn't say that explicitly.
Right.
We do not know, but that's what he said. That you saw me that even.
We'll hear from him shortly.
Okay.
So what happened after the applications were dealt with, as far as the substantive case is concerned?
Yeah. So after clearing all the applications and dismissing same, Richard Jakpa was called into the witness box to be cross-examined by lawyers for Dr. Kesalato Forsen. And so Eduji Tamakulo represented Aziz Bamba, who couldn't show up in court today. He's the lead counsel for Dr. Kesalato Forsen. So the audio tape, despite the ruling of the sitting judge, Richard Jakpa's team are still holding dear to the audio tape. So he asked Richard Jakpa if he had something he wanted to bring to the court. And he said, yes, I have the audio recording on a pen drive in my bag. So the judge gave him the permission to go and pull it from his bag. He went, pulled it, brought it. Then Eduji wanted, I don't know if he wanted him to say to the court he wanted to play it or what. But in the middle of his cross-examination, I think Thaddeus stood up and said, they want to have a look and examine that evidence. You never know.
Sorry, here is a lawyer for Richard Jakpa.
Jakpa, yes. So he was now speaking for his client. That Eduji cannot just say that he should just tender it in. He wants to assess the audio recording, the pen drive, and make sure that it is indeed what his client would like to tender into evidence.
All right.
So now, the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboadame, also stood up and raised some objections to that effect, which was overruled by the sitting judge. And so, long and short, that audio recording was allowed, and Richard Jakpa, according to the sitting judge, has asked that they should file it. So now, when it's filed, he will be cross-examined based on the content of that audio recording. The understanding we are getting, or we got after the proceedings with Sami Jemfe, is that this is the beginning of the flow of other audios. And that the strategy is going to be that they are now going, during cross-examination, we will get Richard Jakpa to be turning in additional audio recordings, if any, between him and then the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboadame. So this went on, the cross-examination went on for like 5 minutes, and then the judge said, okay, enough. We are going to adjourn it to Tuesday at 11 when the court will reconvene. The AG would have 5 hours. Eduji Tamakulo will have 4 hours.
For what exactly?
For the cross-examination.
Of Richard Jakpa.
But what is unclear is whether it's going to be just for Richard Jakpa.
Because I do understand that as far as the first accused is concerned, they have closed their case.
Closed. Yeah, so it's going to be Richard.
The prosecution almost has closed his case.
Yeah.
So what is left is Richard Jakpa.
Richard Jakpa. So it's going to be Richard Jakpa, 5 hours for AG. Eduji Tamakulo will have 4 hours. And then on and on we go.
All right. So Latif, I'll let you hold on for now. So you heard Latif Idris. He was in court today telling us what transpired in court today. The decision of the court on the applications that were before the court, and then as far as the substantive case is concerned. Now, the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboadame, has been advised by the court to recuse himself from the ongoing case. Is he going to do that? He spoke to my colleague, Latif Idris, after the hearing today. We can take a listen to what he told him after.
What do you make of the ruling? First off, let's begin with the directive by the judge who advised you to recuse yourself from the ongoing.
Please, stop this sensationalism. I think you remember you were in court. The judge herself, even after the ruling, clarified that she has not given any such order at all. And that is only an advice. Yes. And what did you notice afterwards? I'm conducting the matter. I'm still conducting the trial. The most important point today is that all the applications filed by the applicants have been dismissed in their entirety. All the 5 applications have failed. And I think that in reaction to this, I would say that clearly shows there's a group of people in this country who ride on manipulation of facts, distortion, and deception of the public. They're always seeking to mislead and deceive the public. Today they've been exposed. That is what I say. I leave the rest to my friends.
So now that they've been dismissed, all the applications have been dismissed. Yes. How do you see this case going forward?
Well, today, when I was coming, I had a song in my spirit. Head of the church triumphant. You know that song? Please. We joyfully adore thee. And then it goes on. Precisely. Continue. You have to play it in your radio stations. Head of thy church triumphant, we joyfully adore thee. And I said to you that they will lay traps, but all the traps I'll flee from them. And indeed, only righteousness will prevail.
Would you object to the audio record now with available?
I'm not speaking again.
What about the specific finding? The specific finding. The specific finding that in the engagement you didn't make any specific comment.
I think for me that's again. Oh, please stop. Okay, I think that's also the. You see, that for me epitomizes the deception of the public I talk about. I speak about the deception, distortion of facts, and manipulation of the public by a group of people in this country. You heard a judge say today that 10 times she had listened to the audio. She never heard the attorney general utter those words. And those words, if at all, came from the mouth of Richard Japan.
Thank you very much. So that's the Attorney General, Godfrey Yeboah-Darming, who was just, he sang a song I don't know, just to indicate that he is going to prevail. Just referencing what he said to us the last time he was in court, that they're going to set traps on his way, but he will prevail. He's referenced that today. And what the takeaway from the court today is the fact that the court has dismissed all the applications filed by A3 and A1, that is Dr. Kesela Toforson and Richard Jakpa. Now the applications have been cleared. We will try and get some representation from the NDC camp who were in court to show solidarity to. But let's begin with Nana B was also in court. A quick one from Nana B. What do you make of the proceedings today? Dismissal of all the applications by A3 and A1. And what is also another takeaway is the fact that the AG has been advised to stay away. Let's begin with the dismissals.
I think, first of all, this is what we've been saying all this while, that you cannot churn falsehood outside in the public domain, and you think you can transfer such falsehood into the courtroom. No, I mean, I've always said this, and today they have been exposed badly, right? And all the applications they filed were dismissed, and we were all in court. The judge gave, reasons, deep reasons, well researched reasons why all of these applications were must be dismissed, right? So first, you notice that they said that the court should compel the AG to discontinue the prosecution. It was dismissed. They also mentioned about the fact that they filed a motion for mistrial, again, was dismissed. And even the court, the judge in court today said that she listened to the tapes 10 times, and nowhere on the tape were statements like implicate Atoforsen, coaching the accused. No, never. But this is what were being played outside. I mean, people playing to the gallery. The court said that it listened to the tape 10 times and nothing of that sort. And
you also agree that she finds it problematic that the Attorney General was engaging a suspect or an accused person in a conversation on a matter that is sitting before the court.
I'm not sure she said.
She said that.
No. She said that.
That is why she advised him to stay away.
There's nothing at all. There should be a different platform for that, and that is why she suggested that it is General Legal Counsel. right? And then she said that because of public interest and how this matter has generated, so much public interest, she will advise. Indeed, if you recall in court, when the Attorney General stood up to speak, she again repeated that advice. That is only an advice, right? So anybody who will come out yesterday that the Attorney General is ordered not to be part of the conduct of this matter is clear falsehood. And I know people will start trying to push that out. She said advice.
So that's the national organizer of the ruling MPP, Henry Nana Boakye. Let me bring in private legal practitioner Kweku Pentel, who joins us via Zoom. Mr. Pentel, it's a pleasure to have you here on the Pulse. Good afternoon. So, Counsel, if you can unmute for me, and good afternoon, welcome to the Pulse. I think we need to fix that audio with Mr. Kweku Pentel, and then we can have him. Yes, so, Counsel, good afternoon, welcome to the Pulse.
Good afternoon.
All right, so just 1 second for me. My legal affairs correspondent is wrapping up. So, Latif, the next hearing will be what, on Tuesday?
Yeah, on Tuesday at 11, same court. So we might hear the audio tape played in court now that it's been admitted in court. We've gone through the process.
The judge has already heard it 10 times.
10 times.
Anyway, so we'll put that question to those who have knowledge in this area. And Mr. Kweku Pentel, you followed the ruling.
Hi.
So you followed the ruling of the judge in this case, the applications, and of course, virtually dismissing all of them. The other one relating to the conduct of the Attorney General, she advised that he should recuse himself from the ongoing trial. First, your initial reaction to the matters that the judge brought finality to it, the applications.
Yeah. So what's your question? Some disruption came from my side.
All right. So
let me know what's the question.
So first, perhaps we can start from the judge's directive or advice to the Attorney General that in view of how perhaps I'm restraining myself from using certain words that were not used in court, but the Attorney General has been advised to recuse himself from the case, basically because of certain comments that the judge highlighted in this telephone conversation with Richard Jakpa. I mean, the advice, is subject to the acceptance or rejection by the Attorney General. But what do you make of it?
Well, like you yourself have said, an advice is an advice. You can take it or leave it. And personally, I don't personally, with due respect, see any real justification for the Attorney General to recuse himself from the case. The specific allegation that they made against him have been, at least for now, as a basis for curtailing the trial, has been refused by the judge. And therefore, that is so. I'm not too sure that it's going to have any impact or any effect or any bearing on the substantive trial, whether indeed the Attorney General did anything, which is untoward. I've already expressed a view about last week thereabout, that if even there is any such allegation which can be proven, it does not go to the substance of the matter before the judge. It's an issue of the conduct of the Attorney General, which may be tried in a different forum. That is to say, if their argument is that the conduct of the Attorney General in any circumstances is untoward or is not, it's not right. It does not affect the substance of the case before the court. And that's why I don't think that the Attorney General can even be advised. If the judge has sufficient reason, she have enough powers and authority to recuse the Attorney General if she's got sufficient reason. But this advice, fair enough. I don't honestly believe that the Attorney General is obliged at all to accept an advice from a certain judge. I'm not sure. So that's the way it goes. If the Attorney General decides to go ahead, yes.
But if I should allow you to read the judge's mind, why didn't she go ahead and say that I'm directing you to stay away from the case, but rather use a word that provided a window of opportunity for the Attorney General?
That is the riddle. I mean, if the judge had sufficient reason, the judges act on the basis of evidence that they have before them. So if the judge has sufficient reason, not reason, but the evidence, then she will have good reason. As we speak now, the judge does not have sufficient reason, and I believe that if in the course of this trial, the judge has got good reason based on good evidence that she must recuse the judge, recuse the Attorney General. She's got the power to do it. For now, she doesn't have the power to do it, and that's why she advised. As to why she advised, fair enough, she's a judge. She's entitled to. But like I said, the Attorney General is not obliged at all, one way or the other, to accept the advice. So I agree with the Attorney General if he believes he wants to go ahead with the prosecution. The way forward is his.
But Pinto, regardless of that, for the judge to come to the decision that the Attorney General should advise himself whether to continue or not to continue, that is that dent his image. I mean, clearly, it tells you that perhaps the judge feels that the way you've conducted yourself doesn't put you in the right position to continue to prosecute this case.
No, the thing about a court is that not only of observation, but the power to make orders, consequent upon findings. If the judge has sufficient reason, nothing will stop her. The advice that she given to the Attorney General, an advice is an advice. An advice is one for taking or rejecting. And like I'm saying, if at any point in time the judge has enough evidence to show why the Attorney General must not continue the prosecution, she will be bound to make an order to that effect. And I'm also not too sure that there is any evidence before the court now, which of course, if subsequently it comes out, can impair the trial of this matter or can in any way affect the outcome of this matter. Those are the only circumstances that possibly an order will be made or an advice will be made to the Attorney General. So far, I myself follow this case a little, and I've expressed opinions on this matter, including those that I expressed last week. And I could just have told you that we're going to come to this conclusion, which is that the applications that were filed to recuse Attorney General or to terminate the trial of the criminal cases were going to be thrown out of court. And that's what exactly has happened. We give judges respect, but the judge has restrained herself, suggesting that as things are now, she does not have sufficient legal justification for recusing the Attorney General. So let it stand as that. We thank her for the advice, but let her advice to the Attorney General stand as an advice. An advice is for the taking or for the rejection. And if the Attorney General has opted to give the judge the maximum respect by refusing advice, he is within his rights, and that is it. At the end of the day, this case will be tried on the basis of the evidence that will come before the court, not on speculations, not on any way anybody thinks about any matter that does not happen in the court. And please take this from me, that it's not every evidence that comes before the court that's got a bearing even on the determination of the issues before the court. Some evidence may just be scandalous. Some evidence may just be to whatever. But I'm just making the point that even if it is true that the Attorney General, as they say, even did what they claim he's doing or has done, that will not, in my honest view, affect the trial, the substantive matter before the court, which is whether or not the accused person did what the prosecution said they did. It's as simple as that.
Right.
That's why the judge has admitted. Yes.
Yeah. So, counsel, this is the Attorney General, leader of the bar, an officer of the court, standing in the very court, he said on tape, advising a witness to, if you like, mislead the court by going to take an excuse duty. On what moral grounds will you appear before the same court and then be making certain demands?
Please, the judge has not made a finding of fact. Don't forget that at this stage, they are mere allegations. Let us all bear that in mind. Nothing has been proved before the court suggesting that the Attorney General has done anything untoward. Possibly, if I look at what the judge said, the worst interpretation that you can give to the to what the judge said is that there's a possibility that maybe based on what she's hearing, things may come to the point where some findings of that sort may be made. But as things are now, the judge has seen nothing that compels her to order the Attorney General to, terminate his conduct of the brief. And with due respect, an advice is an advice. And therefore, I will suggest that the matter will stand at this point where it is, and the Attorney General will choose to accept or ignore the advice. As things are now, he has chosen clearly to ignore the advice. There is nothing that suggests, as we speak now, that he has done anything untoward. Right. But what happens is that there are clear allegations which the defense try to rely upon as a basis for having the action dismissed. The judge has weighed the evidence as they stand now, has come to the conclusion that after listening 10 times to this allegation or the statement that the Attorney General is alleged to have made, she has come to the conclusion that so far that evidence is not borne out by what is before the court. She has also done well by admitting everything that they claim the Attorney General said, both in writing and, of course, also by the audio evidence. And the court will weigh all of that as part of the evidence, the total evidence that will come before the court, and consider whether in the light of the evidence in support of the substantive allegations about or concerning the defense, or rather the accused persons, the judge will have to determine whether if those allegations have been proved, and if they are proved, whether by reason of anything that Attorney General is alleged to have said, concerning the matter in court, whether that can bring the evidence down. In other words, whether that would inure to the benefit of the accused persons. I have said it about last week I expressed a clear opinion that we are dealing with two separate matters, one related to the conduct of the Attorney General. If you've got the evidence, you know where to go. But as far as the trial of the matter is concerned, the prima facie evidence has clearly been established. In other words, at the point at which the judge will invite the defense to open their case, we've gone beyond what we call establishing prima facie evidence. That is to say, evidence that is weighty enough to compel the court to go to a trial. All that the defense team has to do is to ensure that they are able to discharge the burden of demonstrating that the evidence or the prima facie evidence does not carry weight.
Right. Thank you so much.
That's my view of the matter.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And Kwaku Pencil is a private legal practitioner. This is a matter that is developing. And of course, you heard the Attorney General. He says that the fact that he went ahead to do what he was in court to do suggests that perhaps the advice provided by the judge in this matter, he ignored it and he's going ahead to prosecute the case. Now, the NDC was represented in court. Sami Jemfi is a communication officer with the NDC, a lawyer himself, and we are privileged to have you in the studio. Sami, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So, your reaction to what happened in court today before we deal with the matters one after the other?
Well, first of all, today was a very important day.
Right.
But even before I go on my reaction, let me state for those who are watching who may not know the gentleman who just spoke to, that he is not just any legal practitioner. He is not a neutral voice on this matter. He's a staunch member of the ruling New Patriotic Party. He attempted to contest the NPP primaries in Infanseman in the year 2008, had to even sue the party, and the Honorable Member of Parliament for that, Asabi, at the time in court. So there's a staunch member of the NPP. There is nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. I mean, he was not only providing his legal understanding of what happened in court today.
Speaking. Again, he is an appointee of President Akufo-Addo as the council chair for the Dombo University in the north. So, an MPP appointee. In fact, a Kufuor protege because he trained in a Kufuor chamber as well. So
let's go
his
to
view on this matter is colored. It is not a neutral or impartial view, and it is something that we need to place on record. Now, on the proceedings of today,
right.
First of all, we need to commend the trial judge, Justice Efia Sewa, for delivering that detailed, reasoned judgment. Bear in mind that the judge had less than 2 days to put together such a comprehensive ruling.
But your news conference was last week.
Yes.
So we are just like less than...
No. You know, we went to court
yes, of course.
on
I remember.
Tuesday.
Yes, exactly.
And she adjourned on those applications to give ruling
for just 2 days.
Thursday, so 2 days.
2 days.
So she had Tuesday after court, the whole of Wednesday, and this afternoon she was in court to deliver ruling. We're talking about almost 40 pages.
Right.
Okay. And so as a student of law, as a lawyer, interested in the development of the law, I am excited, and it is something that we need to encourage on the part of the bench. Detailed, reasoned rulings like this help the development of the law. So I commend her for that. Now, number two has to do with certain decisions that the trial judge made, which in our opinion were totally wrong. Because those decisions
specifically
are not borne out by the law and the facts that were before her. So we have several disagreements with her on some of the decisions. The third leg has to do with the other decisions that the judge made, which we agree with, and which are very, very material, very, very relevant for the public to know. So what would you like me to start with, the disagreements or the agreements?
So we'll come to the Attorney General and the advice. First, there was the issue of the applicants were in court asking for certain reliefs. One of them, a mistrial, and then the possibility of discontinuation of the entire process. Let's start with the mistrial. And from what our legal correspondent told us, the judge says that, he couldn't find any law to stand on to pronounce on the relief the applicants were seeking. What do you make of this?
Yeah, it's one of the things that we disagree with the trial judge on, because we think that the court had the jurisdiction and the power to make an order for mistrial or an order for inquiry into the conduct of the Attorney General. And we say so because under Article 140 of the 1992 Constitution, the High Court, subject to the provisions of the Constitution, has jurisdiction in all criminal and civil matters.
Right.
And when such jurisdiction has been conferred on the High Court, unless there is any specific law that expressly ousts the jurisdiction of the court to make orders for mistrial or inquiry, we think that the High Court had that general jurisdiction because you have the jurisdiction in all criminal matters. And so in hearing a criminal matter, the court has a responsibility to ensure that these processes are not abused.
Right.
And that the rights of accused persons are respected. And that the prosecution is also done in good faith. And so on. You understand? So if matters are put before the court that shows breach of prosecutorial conduct on the part of, or prosecutorial misconduct, let me put it that way, on the part of the Attorney General. It shows also, as the judge herself puts it, conduct that, according to the judge, negates good thoughts. Negates good thoughts.
Absolutely.
Clearly meaning that there is no good faith. And all that. These are matters that the court should be interested in, because the court is there primarily to do justice. And so on the ground that the court has that general jurisdiction on all criminal matters, and except its jurisdiction is specifically ousted, it has that jurisdiction to inquire into matters that are pending before it and all that. We also think that, granted, like the judge said, that there is no specific law or known practice, according to the judge, that confers powers on her to make the orders the first accused was seeking from the court. You know that under Article 11 of the 1992 Constitution, which spells out the sources of law of Ghana, the common law is part of the laws of Ghana. A common law is not the laws of Ghana. We are talking about the laws that we borrowed from the United Kingdom. You understand? Right. And under the common law, courts hearing criminal matters have the power to order for inquiries into alleged prosecutorial misconduct, they also have the power to order for mistrial, okay, on grounds of witness tampering or prosecutorial misconduct and so on. You understand? So even if you put the first argument aside, where we are saying that the High Court in Ghana has that general jurisdiction in criminal matters to ensure that these processes are not abused and prosecutions are being done in accordance with law and so on. You also have the second argument about the common law being part of the sources of law in Ghana. And the common law giving power to courts trying criminal matters to make the orders we're seeking from the court, order for mistrial and inquiries. So when the judge says that, oh, I don't have that power, I don't have that jurisdiction, on the second leg too, we cannot agree with the courts. Then the third leg, I'm coming, hold on.
But when the judge also provide a roadmap and say that some of the matters you are complaining about, that borders on the integrity and the conduct of the AG, there's an appropriate forum that can help
we'll come there. First of all, let's deal with that disagreement.
The General Legal Council.
Let's deal with the disagreement. Then the third leg, why we disagree with the trial judge, is that assuming that everything the judge has said is even true, okay, at least the court should have had counsel on these important issues of law.
There was nothing like that.
The judge has the discretion to decide whether to hear them or not to hear. But at least the practice is that once you file an application, there is a filing date and there is a hearing date. On the hearing date, the court will usually allow the applicant, lawyer for the applicant, to move the application. It is when the application has been moved that the judge can say, I'm not taking any oral arguments. I will determine the matter on the basis of the affidavits.
On Tuesday, that's what he said.
No.
That she was okay with the written...
application was not even moved.
With the written application.
The application was not moved at all.
Okay.
No lawyer had opportunity to... None of the applicants, whether Dr. Bassett or lawyer Tadio, had opportunity to say, my lord, I have a motion so and so before you press one to this, that. Invoking the jurisdiction of the court for so and so, I move in terms of the motion paper, the supporting affidavit, and exodus. No lawyer had the right to do so. And usually, even on this point of laws, the court may, in exercise of its discretion, it's not compulsory, but in exercise of its discretion, may want to hear counsel on those points of law. Nothing like that. So if the judge says she is not aware of any law, can it be that if she had heard counsel for the applicants, maybe her mind could have been addressed to certain things that she didn't take advantage, she didn't, consider. So that is another point. But you see, the judge, after saying all this, is not saying that the Attorney General is not guilty.
No.
She's only saying that I don't think that this is the appropriate forum. In my view, the appropriate forum is the General Legal Council. The judge is not wrong. We are saying the two are not mutually exclusive. The courts could have made those orders for inquiry or mistrial and so on. And the applicants could still have the right, or any person could still have the right to trigger disciplinary proceedings against the Attorney General at the General Legal Council. Even beyond that, there are parliamentary processes.
And it's a process already you've indicated that you will pursue.
Regardless of the GLC process, regardless
is
going to be triggered.
Regardless of what the court was going to say.
The GLC proceeding, disciplinary proceedings against the Attorney General to be triggered, but at the right time. I always say at the right time.
So let's talk about the conduct.
The probe will be triggered. There is one that we are also currently looking at about Shraj under Article 218. Which will also explore. So basically on that, we disagree with the judge. But it's not only this.
But the issue of the conduct, and of course the judge's comments on the tape, and the fact that she said she had to listen to 10 times.
Yeah.
And some conclusions she came to on the tape.
Yeah.
And that she was not clear about what the Attorney General said. Another matter relating to Japa. I mean, the tape perhaps was the foundation upon which all these applications were found.
Let me do a cocktail for you. I will, in answering this question, I will mix the issues we agree with and what we disagree with. Now, listen. What happened today, which is very commendable in our view, is a decision by the judge to admit that audio recording.
Okay.
This is the audio recording that we in the NDC organized a press conference and played to you in the media and circulated it. And you recall what our friends in the MPP said. Frank Davies, Nana Boache, Paul Adomotre, and Highlands of Godfrey Dami said, the tape is doctored. Is that not what they said? It's doctored, it's not authentic. It made all forms of contrived arguments. Now, when this tape was brought to court, they went sash. All the issues of doctrine
could not be raised. In fact, the Attorney General himself, who was on that call, could not swear an affidavit. He could not go on oath. Let me put it that way so that the ordinary man will understand. He could not go on oath to dispute anything in the tape. He could not challenge its authenticity or anything in the tape. He had to shift the responsibility to a principal state attorney who was not on the call. He and us were not there. So, then the judge, after everything, says that AG says this tape is not admissible. It is admissible, and I am admitting it. This is a disgrace of monumental proportions. What it shows is that the MPP are a bunch of crooked characters, liars. They come to the media to obfuscate issues and confuse the ordinary man that the tape is doctored. They go to courts and they behave like cowards. They are not even able to raise the issue of doctrine. And this tape that they are saying is not admissible, blah, blah, blah. You heard them on Newsfile. They could not raise that point in court. Today, that tape has been admitted. That's number one. Number two is that the judge goes on to say that the AG has not denied having the conversation with Mr. Japan. And in his opinion, that conversation should not even have been, they should not have had that conversation at all. And we all know.
Especially when the matter was before the court.
Yeah, and we know the Legal Profession Act, Rule 56 is clear, 56 2D. A prosecutor cannot communicate with an accused person. Then even if you look at the plea bargain law, or even you look at Rule 13 of the Ethics of the Legal Profession, it says that communication with a represented party must be through the lawyer of the represented party or with his consent. That was also not done. Even if you're doing plea bargaining, it must be done with the lawyer of the represented person. That was not done. So the judge said the conversation should not have happened in the first place. Then the judge also goes on to say that it gives the court discomfort that the Attorney General would tell the accused person to contrive evidence of him being sick, a false medical excuse when the guy was fit as a fiddle. So the judge said that was wrong. And it was on the basis of these findings of facts, because I heard that MPP lawyer, Kwaku Pencil, saying that no finding of fact was made.
Let's stay on the
Yes, sir, I'm staying on the issues. A finding of fact was made that the AG is not disputing having the conversation. The judge also said that the conversation should not have happened in the first place. The judge also says that it gives the court great discomfiture or discomfort that the Attorney General will engage the accused person in that manner, seek to suggest to him how he should answer questions, and even tell him to falsify, evidence to come and deceive the court. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not. But hold on. I'm going somewhere. Hold on. Let me get to my point. So it is on the basis of this that the judge said she strongly advises. She says
not
that
order, not directive.
Courts will sparingly injunct persons who have statutory duties from the performance of those duties. She didn't say that courts cannot do that, but she said the courts are always reluctant to do that. And under this circumstance, she doesn't see the special or the egregious circumstances that should make her injunct the Attorney General, right?
And you agree with that?
However, no, we disagree, and I'll tell you why we disagree. However, she says that she strongly advises that the Attorney General should stay away from the case.
Window of opportunity provided, subject to whether no, I'm saying that
since Ghana became Ghana,
subject to whether the AG will accept or reject. And from what we've been told by the AG, he's going ahead with the case.
Since Ghana became Ghana, from the days of Attorney General Geoffrey Bink till date, have you seen a court reprimanding or advising an Attorney General in whom the prosecutorial powers of states are vested to stay away from a criminal matter?
And that
have you seen that before?
And that for you is a win.
Have you seen something?
And that for you is a win, right?
It's not just a win. At least for me, it tells me that there is still hope of justice in this matter. It tells me that, you see, one time Lawyer Martin Pebu said that we don't have ADOS in the country.
Yeah.
But I think this shows me that we still have ADOS. You still need him. We still have people who, in good conscience, will tell the Attorney General that, look, I'm not going to injunct you, but I strongly advise that stay out. Why would the Attorney General, why would the court do that? Because the Attorney General has been leading this case all along. Why is the court strongly advising him to stay away from the matter? Why? It is because of the disgraceful, unprofessional, and criminal conduct of this crooked character called Godfred Yeboah-Dame. That is the reason. He's a national shame. He's an embarrassment, a walking disgrace. And if he will not take a cue from this advice from the courts and still insist on pursuing this matter himself, we are even excited about it because we know that he will meet his meter very soon, Richard Jakpa. And I am praying that Godfred Dame will defy the advice of the judge. He should dare defy the advice of the judge.
In fact, we have heard him. Maybe perhaps at this stage.
Elton, I'm saying that. Let me end my sentence.
Just a second. At this stage, if we have the AG's response, we can bring it on so that we hear
let me conclude my sentence.
The AG's reaction after the court. Whether we will continue with it.
But you should dare defy the advice of the judge, and he will meet his meter, Richard Jakpa, in the box.
All right.
And bear in mind that this is without prejudice to the other processes, disciplinary processes at the GLC, the parliamentary probe we have spoken about, the trigger of Article 218 and the role Shraj can play in this matter and all that. This is without prejudice to
all the things that you want to do.
And our clear position that we are pursuing this matter to its logic.
I'll come back to ask you. I mean, you have disagreement.
Some of the comments the judge made.
You have disagreement with some of the rulings of the judge. Is it the case that, I mean, is there room for some kind of an appeal? I'll ask you about that. But what is the AG's reaction to the advice by the trial judge? Let's listen to him.
Where she has dismissed all the applications filed by the first and then the third accused. The Attorney General is working out now. We can engage him quickly. What do you make of the ruling? First off, let's begin with the directive by the judge who advised you to recuse yourself from the ongoing.
Please, stop this sensationalism. I think you remember you were in court. The judge herself, even after the ruling, clarified that she has not given any such order at all. And that is only an advice. And what you did notice afterwards, I'm conducting the matter, I'm still conducting the trial. The most important point today is that all the applications filed by the applicants have been dismissed in their entirety. All the 5 applications have failed. And I think that in reaction to this, I would say that clearly shows there's a group of people in this country who ride on manipulation of facts, distortion, and deception of the public. They're always seeking to mislead and deceive the public. Today they've been exposed. That is what I say. I leave the rest to my friends.
So now that they've been dismissed, all the applications have been dismissed.
Yes.
How do you see this case going forward?
Well, today when I was coming, I had a song in my spirit. Head of the church triumphant. You know that song? Please. We joyfully adore thee. And then it goes on. Precisely. Continue. You have to play it in your radio stations. Head of thy church triumphant, we joyfully adore thee. And I said to you that they will lay traps, but all the traps I'll flee from them. And indeed, only righteousness will prevail.
Right. So that's Ghana's Attorney General Minister for Justice, Godfred Yeboah-Dame. So I asked a few questions about, so what is the way forward? As we begin to wrap up on this
what we just heard is Key Soup concert part.
That is seriously
comedy.
Let's allow him.
I'm commenting on that. No, it's important. Look at this Attorney General. You engage in clear misconduct, clear criminal conduct, and you are here using Bible verses and Christian songs. He's not even scared of God. Master, God is not a man who Godfred Dame. God is not a man that he should be mocked.
So what's the way forward for the NDC? What is the way forward for the NDC and the applicants in court?
You go and tell a witness, an accused person you're prosecuting, to falsify a fake medical excuse duty to deceive a court. And you have the audacity, the temerity to still quote Bible verses and sing Christian songs. This guy... So these are the Pharaoh. If this guy existed in the days of Jesus, he would have been whipped like Jesus whipped the Pharaoh.
You disagree with some of the judges' decision. What is the way forward? What is the way forward? What is the way forward?
Look at this criminally minded person
let's stay on
the emotional keyboard.
Sami, you disagree.
No, I'm scandalized. As a Christian, are you not scandalized that this guy will use the Bible in the name of God to cover up his crimes and his misconduct.
So you disagree with the court decision? What is the way forward?
What a joke!
What steps are you taking going forward as you have expressed your disagreement with some portion of the judge's decision?
Look, the comments the judge made.
Is there an opportunity for an appeal?
About the fact that Mr. Dame said on the tape that he didn't need the help of Jakpa. Yes, I've gone to listen to the tape again. It was around just after the 10 minutes, time, a few seconds after that, where Mr. Jakpa started saying that if I testify the way you want me to testify, I'll be dishonest and I'll be helping you to jail an innocent person. And that will not sit well with my conscience. And that he has been meeting him severally in the house of his cousin. It's true that Mr. Jakpa was the one who said all that and not the Attorney General, right? But what is also true is that Godfrey Dame could not deny any of those averments by Mr. Jakpa, meaning that they were true. Because Dame was on the line. So it was after that Jakpa said, so I can't help you. Then Dame said, oh, I am not saying that you should help me per se. Well, this is just by the way. This is a phone conversation, and I don't know whether I'm being recorded. So the judge, in my humble opinion, got it wrong when she took that statement in isolation. Because you see, when you're assessing evidence and you're weighting it, you need to assess the evidence as a whole. And if you assess this audio recording as a whole, you will see that right from the beginning of the conversation, Dame tells Jakpa to testify his way. That was Dame asking Jakpa for help. You also see that Dame tells Jakpa that if you testify, if you agree to this deal, it creates no difficulty for you. That was Dame asking for help. Either than that, why was he saying that it will create no difficulty?
Is there going to be an appeal? Is there going to be an appeal?
No, that is something the lawyers are exploring. A decision will be taken on that, and we will communicate that to you. So if you look at the evidence as a whole, right from the beginning of the conversation, you see Dame impressing on Mr. Jakpa to testify his way and assuring Jakpa that it will not create any difficulty for him. And you even see at the tail end, he asking Jakpa to go and falsify a medical excuse duty so that he could travel. He was asking for help throughout that 60 minutes, 5 seconds recording. So if the judge listened to that 10 times and came to the conclusion that Dame was not asking for help, then the judge was terribly wrong, because in many portions of that tape, and if an appeal is filed, all those portions will also be cited. She asks for Jakpa's help, and Jakpa keeps on declining.
I don't think
again.
Because you are, I just want to ask you, I don't think that we've heard the last of this tape, because now it's been admitted in court. Is it your expectation that the tape will become a key tool in terms of
not just
dealing with the...
Oh, you don't know what happened after?
In terms of dealing with the substantive matter?
You don't know what happened after? No, after the ruling was given, Mr. Jakpa mounted the box for counsel for lawyer Eduji Tamaklo, our own brother, to continue the cross-examination. And Honorable Mr. Eduji Tamaklo sought to tender other tape recordings on the pen drive, a tape recording on the pen drive to evidence. And I want to tell you,
a new one.
I'm giving you breaking news that there are other tapes.
There are other tapes
which will be tendered through Mr. Jakpa.
You held a news conference. You brought us this one. You kept some to yourself. Why have you?
We told you. We said notice that we have many tapes.
But put it in the public domain. No. You decided to put this one in the public domain.
Crooked characters like Godfrey Dame, you don't put all your cards.
So rather you put this before the court.
No, put it before the court. The court has asked for those recordings to be discovered, to be filed, and all parties should be served, so that if they have any objections, they will raise the objections, and rulings will be given on them. You understand? So there are that 60 minutes 5 seconds tape is not the only tape which will come up in this trial. At least I can tell you. I'm not supposed to do that, but I've told you. You understand? So the point is that Dame's cup is full. This is a man who has been exposed by God. He should stop using God, Christian music, Bible verses to cover up his criminality and unprofessional conduct. What he has done, if indeed he is a Christian, then he is a very bad Christian. He's like the Pharisees and the Sadducees who crucified Jesus.
Let me ask a final question.
Again,
because we are ending.
Need a comment before your final question.
Yes.
Which we totally disagree with. It is about a comment she made that all the parties in the case have agreed that the ambulances that were brought into the country could not be used. That is not correct if you look at the records. Because, yes, Honorable Atoforsen is in court. If you look at the particulars of the offense he has been charged with, for authorizing letters of credit to be established in favor of Big C for the supply of the ambulances without due cause and authorization. So the testimony of his witness, Honorable Setepe, focused on the issue of authorization. Right? Now, Mr. Jakpa, who was the agent for Big C and the third accused in this matter, if you check his witness statement, he goes beyond the issue of authorization into the issue of whether or not there has been a loss. And his testimony was that the ambulances, as they were brought into the country, shipped into the country, were not supposed to be used.
The first consignment.
Yes. Were not supposed to be used is not the same as could not be used. Because they were not intended to be used in that state. Because the agreement was that they will first of all ship the vehicles, which has all those installations and everything. We've shown you the pictures. And then ship the accessories, send their engineers to come down, do the installation, train officers of the National Ambulance Service, hand over the ambulances before the ambulances could be used. And that if the government even proceeded to use the ambulance in that state, they were voiding the warranty on the ambulance.
But I guess
so it is very discomforting that the judge will say that all the parties have agreed that the ambulances could not be used. No, not exactly so. The parties, at least on the part of the third accused, his testimony is that the ambulances in the state they were shipped were not intended to be used in that state because the medical accessories were going to be shipped, and indeed they were shipped. Arrived in the country by October 2016. We've shown you the bill of lading. Were supposed to be installed, cleared by government first, installed by engineers or officers of Big C, officers of National Ambulance Service, trained before the ambulances are used. So that is also another part. But look, the lawyers, the judge has given us notice that we will get the certified ruling by the close of day. We are now commenting on this matter based on what we all heard in court when she was reading what, according to her, was a 40-page ruling.
Yes.
When we get the certified ruling, certified true copy of the ruling, and we take time to study it in good detail and digest it,
you take a decision.
I'm sure that the lawyers will decide on the next course of action. But for us, for me as an individual, it is enough that we have a judge in this country who, after evaluating all this evidence, has come out clearly to say that I'm admitting this audio recording.
All right, Sammy.
Despite all the lies that the audio recording is inadmissible, it is doctored and all that, those cowards could not raise.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sammy.
And the judge has also said that the Attorney General should stay away. That is a disgrace of monumental proportion. Right, and the Attorney General should just resign.
Yeah, so the court has a decision to make on all of these, and of course, the substantive matter as well. And of course, we'll bring all that to you here on Joy News. But you've been listening to the communication officer with the NDC, Sammy Jem. We'll take a short break. When we return, the Ghana Grid Company says its engineers are on the ground to ensure that power is restored after that fire outbreak at Circle yesterday. We have that details for you after this short break. This is the Pulse. Stay right there. Welcome back to the show. This is Joy News. This is the Pulse. Let's move away and let's talk about power issues. Now, the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, says its engineers are on the ground this afternoon working around the clock to restore power to parts of the capital plunged into darkness following yesterday's fire at Ekomok, a slum community at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle here in Accra. Gridco says there has been an outage to its 161 kV at Chimota to Accra Central Transmission Line and conductors following the fire incident. We will bring you excerpts of a statement released shortly. But earlier, my colleague Rejoice Semefa Pesu was at Ekomok Circle to interact with victims who want government to intervene as they count their losses.
It's over here, leaving many residents homeless. Now this morning, many parts of Accra still remain in darkness due to the fire outbreak yesterday because this place has a number of high-tension electric poles that connects to many parts of Accra. We have Gridco officers on the ground. They are doing the assessment.
So we've done an initial assessment. we've seen that our transmission line cable on this transmission line, it serves Achimota to Accra Central. About 150 meters of the cable have been damaged, and so the line has been put out of service. It's been isolated because for safety reasons we don't want anyone to get electrocuted or hurt, because even under these current conditions there's still some electromagnetic current in the wires. So we are trying to get cables to barricade the area so that people don't come and touch or get caught up in any incident. So mainly our towers have also suffered some burn. Later on they will be retreated and restored, and then we also have some conductors that have been affected. They will also be replaced, and the insulators too will be looked at. If they are still in good condition, we'll leave them. So essentially that work has begun. I'm sure you see some of the engineers have come with additional equipment, so it will continue like this for the rest of the day and for as long as it will take, but I don't project it will be too long. We are told that they will quickly do this work. So this particular transmission line, it terminates at Accra Central bulk supply point. So what we've done is we've been working and have got some additional load coming from Malam substation so that others can be served. But as to which individual area, that doesn't sit with Gridco, because Gridco is a bulk supplier. We only supply to ECG, and then ECG determines who gets the power and how. But we know that because this line is out of service, there's been a reduction in the power that ECG will get to serve everyone. So I can't give you the particular areas, but by close of day today, everyone should be restored. So it will take a while. I think the priority now is to repair this cable, the transmission cable that has been destroyed. So the engineers have been speaking to identify additional equipment and spares that can be brought here for work to be done. So what I will say is that being under these transmission lines are very dangerous. It's not safe for human habitation. And that is why, not just for this particular transmission line, for all our transmission lines, our 161, 225, 330 transmission, kV transmission lines across the country, we go around from time to time. We have a right-of-way team that goes around and clears people from these transmission lines. But your station knows even better than me that people always come back.
But we have the regional minister also coming through. He has been saying that henceforth they wouldn't allow anybody to raise structures over here again, and they will get anyone who will attempt raising structures here arrested.
You see the Gridco transmission lines, a national asset. This fire that gutted the place, if it affected any of the lines, we're all gone. And I'm so sad that human beings are living under these pylons at the peril of their lives. Circumstance. But I've instructed that nobody should live here anymore. Nobody. And we mean it. Because as regional minister and the regional security council, it is our duty to protect every life and property. So a gentleman, he said he's a chief around here. And I've told him that I'm pleading with him. We don't want these things to continue. We don't want any third fire. Therefore, they should prepare and leave. We'll make sure we put men on the ground to make sure nobody, and I mean nobody, lives here. I mean my words. And anybody who tries to rebuild will arrest the person and send him to court. I'll put the soldiers and the police on the ground. Anybody who comes here and tries to build will arrest him. I mean it, because we mean serious. This time we're not going to joke. That indiscipline, that recklessness that people go around the region doing, it's not going to allow.
Right, Honorable, is there any plans underway to make sure that we get an alternative place for these people?
Where are we going to get it? Accra is choked. These are all squatters. It's unfortunate. Government cannot, where are we going to get it from? It's very difficult. There's no way we can get a place for them to live. So I'm sure they've been doing a lot of business around. So they might have done some savings. So they can look at other alternatives. But government hasn't got that muscle to get them a place.
I spoke to one woman with twin babies. They slept in the open yesterday without a cover cloth.
From Salima.
Okay. And who structure Wahana? Okay.
And they are as a son of my way. And so you know my intimate union. Oh, well, I won't call him you know, for me. They say, as a can you ash. They have my or more, a boy, because you know, and some man for a fat. They say, call me, no, get to me, no money machine. They say, I better that show.
Colano, any ubano, and no more.
Yada haya, any baby that. See a niska coco jide. See a bayan, better haya, so your boys. A hyana yada.
I'm the one washing come here, so I come know everything. Scatter my 5,000 there my inside. All my things. You see, I'll not tell anything about me. As I talk, I have 50,000 in my inside where it been now. I swear. The afternoon where I live here, so I don't know what's happen for here. As I come inside, as I come here where I get call. So even myself, I'm not sure. Say here, I'm not sure. So I be now where I come see say now it's true, you know. 50,000 is not easy. Since my clothes, my slippers, even I buy dress where I go give to my mom, lace, everything. I have my kid brother slippers, my younger sister slippers, clothes, shirts, everything, bags. Even this cap I have two. One is inside, but I don't, how? I can't find it.
All right, so we welcome back. Let's get the very latest on the power situation. Jifa Bampo is manager of corporate communications at Greatco. Jifa, it's a pleasure to have you. My former news editor.
You needed to say that. Hello,
right.
Elton, and thanks for having me.
So your initial assessment, what is it telling you?
Well, essentially that the line has to be restored. And so the engineers are working on it still. So when I'm done with the engagement here, I'll go back to the site to see how far, but they believe they can finish today to repair the stretch of transmission line that got damaged so that as soon as possible, the line can be put back in service.
So how bad is the situation?
Elton, I must admit, quite bad. Quite bad, because when the fire has affected 4 transmission towers, in terms of the steel members, that is the structure that holds up the transmission. So that has been affected, but it can be restored. Then I was surprised to see the damaged cables totally snapped, lying on the floor. In fact, my concern was anyone who would potentially touch it because it still had some of the sounds, the electromagnetic sounds coming through. So, but that has been taken out now. That was taken down as of 1 o'clock. And so by now, I'm sure the new cables will be up together with the new conductor. When I spoke with your reporter, I told her that we weren't sure if the insulators would be okay, but it turns out that
it worked.
No, they have to replace some aspects of the equipment. So spares have been brought in, and the work is ongoing. It's not easy work, but they're doing it.
So in terms of how widespread this has, you know, in terms of its effect on the populace, which areas are we talking about?
Okay. So I don't have those direct details, but based on information that I have gathered, a lot of people within the Dansoman area, parts of people on the Malam Kaswa transmission line have also been affected. So that is the extent of those I know who've been affected by this particular incident. If anybody in other parts of Accra, that cannot be local issues or other issues relating to the value chain that may cause these outages.
So as we speak, these areas are still off?
I haven't checked again, but I suspect they may still be off. Our projection is by late evening, they'll be restored.
So as we speak, your engineers are still working?
Yes.
The plan is to restore by close of work, by close of work today?
Today, yes. So I'll go back anyway
Could this have been prevented? I know very well that this was a fire outbreak that, the claim is that somebody was cooking, there was gas, there was an explosion, and then it started. And so there's no way this could have been prevented from affecting the power lines.
So 2 things I'll say to start with. We thank God that nobody died, because I think fundamentally that's the starting point. Then the second bit is, yes, it's a whole settlement. People are engaged in all kinds of activity. I saw people doing charcoal business. There's a woman selling food and she's cooking with charcoal. I saw others also engaged in welding. I mean, all sorts of things that are hazardous to a transmission line. In fact, nobody should have any business under a transmission line. So this is not just about this Ekomog area. There are slum communities at Fiesta Royals behind. Yes. There's Baaleshi, Ajrengano, Ashaiman, Tem. I mean, it's wide. So it's not just even in Accra. We have Kumasi, we have Western Region, where we've had a lot of galamsey activities that impact even the structure of these towers. So we had a fall, I think, 2 years ago or something. But I think ultimately these activities need not and should not be happening under the trans. So it's an opportunity for addressing the right-of-way issues, because we do have legislation that backs this. And this is the Transmission Line Protection Regulations 1967, LI 542, as amended by regulation number LI 1737 of 2004. And it makes it an offense for anyone or persons or institutions to be under these lines. I know many people will ask.
Yet we see them all the time.
And I know many people will say, what have you
Exactly, what have you done to enforce this regulation?
To enforce this regulation. Elton, we've done quite a bit, but we do face resistance. So it's heartwarming to hear the Honorable
the regional minister.
Greater Accra Regional Minister, Titus Glover, indicate that no one will be allowed to live at this particular settlement. But it doesn't end with this settlement. Yes, GRICO needs significant support to execute a campaign that clears people from under the transmission lines. But we have a right-of-way team. We actually go around to clear. In fact, 2 years ago, my baptism of fire in GRICO was a clearance around the Fiesta Royale. It was my first major crisis. Some
people have turned that place into a vegetable farm.
Joy was there, and they even captured, similar to what your reporter captured today, a nursing mother and her newborn, and it made GRICO look a bit insensitive. But the reality is that we shouldn't have anyone living under the lines. I know sometimes people look at these lands and think, oh, it's free land, but it's not. Usually, GRICO would have acquired the land to execute these projects. The reason we have the expanse and space is so that we can upgrade. So sometimes you have one transmission line, sometimes you need to put in a second line and a third. That's why we need that quantum. So we want to appeal not just to the listening and viewing public, but the media as well. I would like in time to partner colleagues so that we can
appreciate these things. And then
upscale a campaign so that we can get people to realize the dangers.
The regional minister here in Accra says that he will deploy some security personnel to ensure that the place is maintained. Beyond Accra, I mean, Kumasi, there's been even issues of people, even apart from the fact that they are not supposed to work anywhere close to the high tension lines. Some go to the extent of even removing the bolts and nuts that help these lines stand firmly. And I'm guessing, I mean, this fire, you had nothing to do with it. You were just sleeping and then it happened. Now, I can imagine how much resources you are pumping into Circle in the last 24 hours just to restore power. And the impact that have on your operations and your finances.
In fact, the right-of-way challenges is the most challenging aspect of GRICO's operations business, because our transmission lines are over 6,700 kilometers of lines across the country. These are very high kilovolts of transmission lines that, God forbid, were it to touch anyone, there will be nobody. It will just be ashes. So we will continue to do what we can. We have informed the relevant authorities, as far as even national security, about the impact of the resistance to people clearing out from the right-of-way. But it's work in progress. Our management and our board are concerned about this, and so they set up this right-of-way team, got a directorate. So there's a director in charge. He was on site today. And I think there's the general feeling that we need to build some momentum from this. We will continue to do our best, but the country is large. The spaces affected are significant, and it's something that we need, not just GRIDCO, but a collaboration of forces. We need leadership, we need assemblies to help us, security agencies, to clear. It costs a lot of money as well to get a bulldozer in and all that. So it's work in progress.
My final question for those who are listening and perhaps still in darkness, what is the assurance for them?
We're doing our best, Elton, to restore power. I must say that when there's an outage, no one gains, and that includes GRIDCO, because we lose money when we can't transmit power. In transmitting power to ECG, that's how we get paid. So when there are outages, not just in these areas that I have mentioned, but in other parts of the country, it affects our bottom line. So we are actually not happy when there are outage issues. Our ambition is to be the backbone for power delivery. That's our tagline, and we want to ensure that Ghanaians have the power they deserve, because they are entitled to it. It's their right. So we'll keep working towards it. I'll be going back there if I have any additional updates.
We'll share with us.
Joy, I'm an alumni of Joy, so I'll provide it. But I want to say thank you to your team as well, who've spent a lot of time on this. Thank you to you too. All right.
Yeva Bampo is head of corporate affairs at GRIDCO Ghana. Now, as we wrap up, let's take you to Malaysia, where the Minister for Foreign Affairs is on a campaign for the Secretary General position of the Commonwealth. And Joy News' editor, Mifa, joins us live with more. So, Mifa, how is the campaign going?
Very well, Elton. Thanks for having me. So definitely, I'm sure if you've been following the bid for Madame Shirley Ayoko Botchwey, Ghana's Foreign Minister and Regional Integration, she's been on a bid to get the Secretary General position, now that is almost vacant with Madame Scotland heading out. And it's been campaigning from the Pacific to the Caribbean, Africa, and she's embarked on the second leg of her Asia tour. Earlier, she was in India and then Bangladesh. I'm talking about the Asian region. And then now she's back to Malaysia. Of course, on the sidelines of the Africa's Soul Summit, she also got to engage other, Commonwealth heads of states and also their representatives as part of that bid. How important it is for Ghana to be able to be represented at that level, knowing her unity, extensive engagement with all these, nations when it comes to this. Key for her is the issue about youth education and skill building. Also key for her in terms of her vision, and then key themes for repositioning is also the island states and the small states, the issue about climate change and how it impacts them especially. And then all based on the Commonwealth values, she's theming this on the 6 pillars that she talks about, issues about trade and industry. She also mentions the issue about managing resources for effective Commonwealth organization without discrimination, such that everybody will be well represented in terms of the state, no matter the size or no matter how powerful that nation is under the Commonwealth. And so that's what we've been up to. Currently in Malaysia, from here we're hoping to go to Brunei, then to Singapore, to wrap it all up before the elections when it comes somewhere in October, when the Chogum 2024 will happen in Samoa. So that's basically what Madame Shirley Ayoko Botchwey has been up to. And today she got to interact with the Foreign Affairs Minister, her counterpart right here in Malaysia. As you can see there in the pictures, Foreign Minister, that's Mr. Muhammad Hamad. during that interaction. Of course, most of these interactions largely closed doors, but indeed it's largely to foster the Malaysian-Ghana, trade and ties to extensively, garner the support of Malaysia when it comes to the final day in terms of the voting. So this is what she's been up to. When there was a state dinner, there was a dinner also in her honor that was also held earlier today. I know you have to go.
Yes, I just wanted to find out how she's been received. I mean, in terms of her candidature and ahead of the elections. I mean, the vibes she's getting from her host, does it give indication that everything is well and that she probably could be our next General Secretary?
Well, of course, from what we've been seeing so far in terms of every country that she's been to, if we are not to go by the fear delegates, mantra, from what we've seen so far, at least from her interaction with the Malaysian Foreign Affairs Minister, and then also some countries have already pledged their public support. Countries like Kenya, we've had countries like Grenada, countries like a number of countries, Trinidad and Tobago, because she's been to the Pacific, Caribbean. Most of them, it looks like they are falling for her bid, such that they've actually declared their open support that they are going to vote for her come that day. And some of them may not declare it publicly, but from the closed-door meetings and the interactions off the camera, you realize that indeed these are people that will be voting, because she's no stranger to them, because she's been dealing with them extensively. The other contenders, yes, you would say that they are not at that level in terms of, international trades and diplomatic circles, amongst others, because she's been there since 2017, acted in several capacities from Parliament all the way to when she became Foreign Affairs Minister. She's engaged extensively with all these, states. And we've had, key persons also from this country, in fact, interact with her at that level, and then pledging that support that when it comes to the bid, they believe that it's the turn of Ghana to be able to take up that enviable title as Secretary General of the Commonwealth.
So she's obviously selling Ghana and selling herself as well.
She's selling Ghana in all angles, because indeed she's talking about trade, she's talking about economy, she's talking about good governance, all these issues, and of course the youth in terms of their education and skill set. These are issues that she's been talking about. And first and foremost, interestingly, from all the engagements I've seen her undertake so far, the first message is selling Ghana in terms of even the exchange of gifts, at least, that we've seen. Mostly is the issue about selling Ghana's chocolate, issues about, Ghana's Jinyami, the Adinkra symbols.
Right.
And that was key for me in terms of how she's actually selling Ghana first and foremost before herself, in terms of that position. What she says, it is that position for her is for Ghana as well.
If I thank you very much. It's 4:42 p.m. here. It's almost 1 a.m. in Malaysia. Please get some sleep. For most
One day, right here.
Yes.
I had to be on the award-winning course,
right.
So I had to stay up just for it.
Thank you so much. That's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, myjoyonline.com. Stories on myjoyonline.com. AG snubs judges advise vows to prosecute ambulance case himself. There are so many stories that came from court today. If you go to my Joy Online, you find them there. That's our show for today. Tomorrow is Friday. We have another exciting edition of The Pulse right here on Joy News. Until then, whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. You have a good evening. My name is Elton Robe. Take care.